eligible for all households.
This was no, sorry.
Got it. The program is eligible for all households and some small businesses. So if you have a big old factory somewhere in Lisle Township, it would probably not be eligible. But if you have, a small store, the program is intended for smaller load electricity meters. It's intended primarily for households, but we have a number of small businesses also that are engaged in the program. So just a little bit about how we work with municipalities. We're working with a number of different townships and villages. DuPage for one, Main Township, the villages of Killdeer and Oakwood Hills already. And the basic concept is, this is a very new program that many people haven't heard of. And given how many sort of different electricity supply companies there are out there, which is a totally different arrangement, right? Electricity supply is different than community solar, and people have had bad experiences sometimes with electricity supply, and so are less comfortable when they hear from us. We found it to be an incredibly effective way for folks to feel a little more trusting of this program when it comes through a relationship with their township or with their village or with someone who just has vetted the program and looked up the Illinois state, Illinois Shines, the name of the state program, and sort of can inform folks who live in the township, this is a legit program, you're not being scammed, and we support this for you to be able to get access to renewable energy, save on your bills, and support just sort of a more sustainable community in the township. In terms of what actually happens, someone sees information through either direct mail that we send or something that is posted on social media channels, either ours or yours. As long as they let us know that they're from Lisle Township and we have all the zip codes so that we can kind of track that, they would receive a $100 Visa gift card when they enroll. They get the 20% savings I described earlier, where they get a credit on their bill and then pay at a 20% discount. And then also we make a donation to the township of $100 for each person who enrolls. We love to hear about, if you can say, these are the types of programs you would support with it. We've found that it can be a really successful way to explain it to people, to say, for example, this is going towards installing new LED lights in the township, offices, or that it's supporting some, child support care program or any number of other valuable things this money could go to. Sometimes putting a name to it can be helpful for folks feeling a little more excited to sign up through the partnership. I put down here that in theory, we would want to do this for about 3 months. That's typically how long these campaigns have lasted. It doesn't take so long to send out a few emails and get a direct mailer and some social media postings out. And our team also would often ask you for a list of maybe folks at a chamber of commerce or religious organizations or anybody where there's sort of an existing community that we can plug into and share information about the opportunity. Our marketing team would then meet with someone from the township. We would design all of the materials, ask for your approval before anything went out to folks. And we would track all the folks who are signing up through the campaign and have it in a regularly updating database that we share with you, just so you know how many people are signing up and can sort of keep track of who in the township is supporting community solar. I don't really want to get too in the weeds on how we make it happen, but I promise that it's been a very successful methodology for us. Even in smaller villages, we've had nearly 100 people sign up in a place with a population of around 2,000. I know Lisle Township is much larger. And so we've had similar success, I would say, with DuPage, and are just kicking off with our friends in Main Township. So I think that while perhaps a township doesn't have as much direct communication with folks as a village might, the township has such huge networks and organizations that we could plug into who might be able to help us have a really successful campaign. I wanted to include, and I sent this over earlier so it can be forwarded around, some of the details of the actual agreement that folks sign, just so that you all can see it. I'd also be happy to send over the full text if it would be helpful. This length of subscription, I want to make very clear. It says 15 years here, but it renews annually and you can cancel anytime. So this 15 years is just, if you don't touch it, you don't do anything, then for the next 15 years, you'll continue to receive the savings. That's based on the expected lifespan of the solar farm. It's usually 15 or 20 years before panels need replacement and they start to think about how to sort of restart these solar farms. But if at any point somebody who signed up moves or isn't happy for whatever reason, we typically have pretty low turnover rates, but you can cancel at any time. There's no penalty for doing so. We just ask for the 90 days notice because we have like a wait list and we usually backfill so that those solar credits are going to someone. No credit score requirement, which is really nice. So there's no income. It used to be in the early days of community solar and still for residential, it was, you had to have like a 750 credit score in order to be eligible, which locked out a lot of low income folks, frankly, who are the ones who should be receiving this sort of savings. It's a no cost upfront program. So we really are excited about the fact that it's open to anybody without any income or credit score restrictions. This is just a similar sort of, when you sign up, you would see this as well. It just says some of the same things about the 15 years. You're allowed to terminate anytime, 90-day notice. And this here, I've sort of circled sort of the text in our contract that shows that your guaranteed savings rate is always 20% of the value of the community solar credits. Conceptually, I described it as $100 of solar credits are generated by the farm. You pay $80 to Solstice for those, but it happens on a per kilowatt hour basis, which is based on the ComEd rate, which as far as I've seen is also the same as folks who are on alternative energy suppliers. Pretty much across the board, everyone who I've seen with an alternative supplier, their rate is pretty much set at the same rate as ComEd. So everyone would be receiving pretty much this exact same savings. And again, if the ComEd rate fluctuates, you're still paying based off of 20% off that rate. So there's no risk that like the price of solar goes up or something and then you're no longer saving money. It's always 20% off whatever the ComEd price is at the time. This here is just a little example, as I described. This all comes off the supply side of your bill. If you had $80 in supply costs, and it's the middle of summer, so your solar farm is doing a great job in generating these credits equal to the amount of power you used at your home, you'd see an $80 discount on the left side from your ComEd bill. On the right side, you would see $80 times 20%. You pay us $64 and put $16 in your pocket. Just wanted to list here a few folks we're working with nearby, a few townships and villages, as well as a number of nonprofits, primarily folks who offer residential services, just because they manage a lot of properties. So you can see a few different organizations here, Easter Seals and Glenkirk, who offer residential services to folks with a variety of mental and physical disabilities, which has been a delight to be able to help them save on their bills as well. And a little quote from our friend Gary. So that is the basic idea for our partnership. We'd be delighted to be able to work with you all in Lisle Township. And I would love to take any questions anybody has.
I have a question. So in Naperville, we don't do ComEd. We go through the actual city who has already a contract with somebody. How does that work?
So I think you're saying that it's like a municipal power company?
Yes.
Okay, so unfortunately, there's not much we can do for folks who are on a municipal power supply. The nature of community solar is that it is tied to a utility directly. So we have projects in ComEd and we're about to start one in Ameren. But if you have a municipal power company, I would say I'm real sorry. And hopefully we can think about even bringing community solar to the municipal power supply, but that's a much longer term conversation.
Question. You just mentioned though that you're working with Naperville Township, right?
DuPage Township.
DuPage, yeah, I'm sorry, I miss, yeah, DuPage.
Well, part DuPage Township though is Naperville.
There's there's some in Naperville, yes.
Right, so so not everybody who lives in Naperville would be eligible for this, okay?
Correct. So in all of our communications that went out through DuPage, it said very clearly, any ComEd customer is eligible. I think it was like 75 or 80% of folks in DuPage Township were ComEd customers, so they were happy to move forward. The thing with DuPage as well, which I'd be happy to speak about, is they actually signed up a lot of their own meters. So DuPage Township had their, municipal offices. They had, I want to say there was a fire station as well that they were paying the bill for, and a couple others. So I'd be delighted to talk about if the township itself has properties with high electricity bills that could benefit from this program. Doing that directly is great too. And we have all the same benefits we described for individuals would be the same for the township. And 20% off the supply cost goes a lot further if you have a couple thousands of dollars in electricity bills rather than somebody's 150 for their home.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes, Trustee Peach.
This is something that you could employ here in the township almost immediately and begin discounting the township obligations, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you can cancel the contract whenever you want, because like I personally would like to see our own panels eventually.
This is the in-between. I would love to see that.
Okay.
But there's a lot of steps before we get there. And we think that there could be grant, there could be, changes in our footprint before then. But for right now, this is like the in-between where you don't have to invest in the panels, exactly know your full footprint and cancel in 90 days. So this is like before we go solar, this would be the in-between.
Okay.
And is this one of a number of companies that you interviewed for this service, or is
I haven't found any other company that has this service. That's the difference. And after doing a bunch of research, there's a lot of solar companies that have panels. We're not yet there. And so this is like the in-between.
Okay.
Yeah, for full transparency on the community solar side, there are a number, I'd be happy even to send you names of a few other companies that do similar work to us. The thing that you'll find very quickly is that we all offer 20% off the supply side of your electricity bill. So when it comes to community solar, I would say there's two things that would sort of shape any decision-making for the township itself. That cancellation term is not the same for everybody. I know some folk, there's a company that also has 90 days. There's another one that has 6 months, and there's some that have cancellation fees. So again, I don't want you to feel as though we're the only folks that you could possibly talk to. So I'm happy to follow up with a few names if you want to send out conversations to other people. I think we're probably the only ones I've seen who are doing this municipal partnership program as like a main strategic sort of centerpiece. We've just found it to be really successful. But in terms of being able to offer the township this service, again, I don't want you to think that we're sort of trying to rush through for you to work with us. Would be happy to share some names of other people locally who are offering a similar service. But again, the one thing I can feel confident you'll find is that it's going to be 20% off the supply side, and you should pick somebody with a good cancellation term and who's nice to work with. And I think that we, in general, have pretty high scores on our customer service, and we're friendly. So the product itself is pretty homogenous.
Thank you.
One last question from me. Do we have an idea of what the monthly savings would be for the complex?
Yes, we do. I don't have the bill right up off of hand, but Bill Green generally pays it. Do you have that number?
You'd be looking for the supply cost, not the total electricity.
The overall amount for whom?
If you had, I mean, what I would do if you did send it our way eventually, if you sent me just a ComEd account number,
Okay.
I have, we have a login where we can sort of pull your last 12 months of usage.
Okay.
And what we do is we take those last 12 months of usage. We have a spreadsheet that does the math. But the basic idea is whatever your supply cost has been over the last 12 months, that's what we allocate you at for the solar farm. And from there is where you're looking at 20% off the total supply cost over the last 12 months is what we estimate you would save.
Okay, between ourselves and the highway, we have 5 ComEd accounts.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you send over at some point either the account numbers or a copy of any one utility bill, I can put together a savings report and send it back to you the same day. It's a pretty easy process for us.
Okay, so Alex at, and I can't read it because we're
Alex at solstice.us, and I'll put it in the chat.
okay. Solstice, solstic.net.
.us.
.us.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up with that one, but
That's,
I think there's a couple other Solstice companies out there.
Got it. Okay, got it. I'll do that tomorrow for you.
Much appreciated.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think in terms of thinking about it as sort of an in-between step between this and like a full-on let's install panels all over municipal buildings, I think it's a perfectly reasonable way of thinking about community solar, just in that it's the no upfront cost and the easy cancellation. And you're probably looking at however many months or years, just because these are big projects. And in the meanwhile, why not save money and support renewable energy?
I have a question. So you were talking about advertising, kind of like letting the community know that this is available. Who pays for that?
We do.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's just such an effective way to, here, I'm gonna turn off this screen. We find it such an effective way for people to hear about it and feel trusting of it, and to be able to say that the township has signed up its meters for this program. We think you should too. For us, sending a postcard to everybody in the township is well worth the investment, relative to just like any other form of Facebook or other advertising we do. It works for us, so we're happy to be paying for those to get in front of people.
Any other questions? Online, any other questions? Okay. Do we have any motions that?
I'll make a motion to approve this. It sounds like optimal, like truly for what we're looking for right now. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Page and Trustee Rose. Any other discussion? Then a roll call.
Trustee Geis?
Great.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Rose?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, great. Then it's passed and we go to the discussion number 10, which is priorities and potential of ARPA grant funding and timeline. Share my screen again. And so I have heard that the Highway Commission is apparently going to be, and the assessor and all of our townships are in a pool. There's going to be a webinar on February 16th. I'll send everybody the portal information from the county. It's going to give everybody the details of where we are with the ARPA funding. There was a number of us that went to the presentation. Thank you, Trustee Rose, or sorry, Trustee Page. And in here is the county's presentation. They have very specific guidelines as to what they will allow the money to cover. And here's the dates of everything that needs to be done. So on March 1st, there's going to be a number of letters of intent sent from us and from the highway department is separate than the township supervisor's office, as well as the assessor's office. And so what we would be doing is making sure that we can understand what the ARPA funding is allowing, what they're going to be paying for, and then figure out how that we can get the most money that we can for our township in the most efficient way. From a prioritization perspective, after talking to all the trustees and the community, it sounds like the need for space is our #1 issue. And so, but we'll be going through our ideas and what have you not. If there's, I know Assessor Trowbridge had a project that he had done last year, and apparently the funding started on March 31st of last year. So we're figuring out, or March 1st of last year. So we're figuring out what can be applied to it. Apparently the phones can be applied to it. And for example, this, a number of the other townships are doing this, but this is a cleaning system that would make sure that we don't have a mold system situation again. And it's a microbial cleaning that you put in the vents and you really put on the surfaces and make sure that we can have a building that will be sustainable. So that's and I sent you the information as to what the other municipalities had received, what the rules are. I'll be continuously keeping everyone updated as to what the options are on the grant funding. But does anybody have any other thoughts or ideas on the issue? Okay, great. Then we'll go on to the printing of the Youth and Family Services Guide. And so we, after discussing a number of things with Trustee Rose, there was a few different suggestions that we have to make sure that things are more readable. There was an idea of having an index in the back, having it indexed with regards to providers, and then having the providers highlighted. And so that was one of the main pieces that we took away from it. And a number of you all have seen the iterations in the drafts of this. This is probably the 5th or 6th draft at this point. From a printing quote perspective, the thing that we have noticed is that there's a variation in prices for quotes. I went through and did my due diligence trying to figure out where the right or the cheapest quotes or more affordable places would be. And I did not find any. There was a number, for some reason it's not opening. But we had a variety of different quotes, and it looked like the $500 range was the best option, or the 500 print for about $1,000. Any other discussion or thoughts on the Youth and Family Services Guide? Great. Then moving on to 12, the proposed review of the proposed budget for this next fiscal year. And we have the budget as we've been reviewing for the last 3 months now. And it is the tentative budget. And the only things that have been changed since the last time was making sure that we have the most accurate estimated fund beginning and end. Every number has been checked. Anyone have nothing internally has been changed since the last. Any other discussions? Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the tentative budget for beginning of being posted?
To make a motion to approve the tentative budget. I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee McGovern and Trustee Page. Any more discussion?
I'm sorry, are you doing the budget and appropriation ordinance
The tentative budget.
to be posted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that would be what we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
So the dates are wrong on here. They're going to be posted, just what we said. because you have us signing it, adopted this 9th day of February 22nd. And you also have it saying that it'll be filed in the clerk's office 30 days after adoption. And so today would be the adoption, but we have to post it and put it in the paper for 30 days
Yes, we do.
before we can adopt it.
And that's what we're doing, is that we have to adopt the tentative budget.
Then you approve a final.
And then we approve a final one.
Okay, because like I mentioned, there was the paperwork that's in the book from the past have all had tentative budget right on it.
Right.
And similar to what you have,
Yeah.
what you have in the packet, that's what's been done in the past.
So if you look in here, Attorney Mullen, would you like to discuss that? It does say tentative, but.
Sorry, I was trying to understand that, but I couldn't fully hear what she was saying. I even pulled the computer closer to my ear so I could try to hear it. Sorry.
Okay, so on the, oh, I'm sorry, I do see tentative now. Has this changed?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Oh,
so, too.
okay.
Actually, the dates have changed too.
Okay, very
I know
good.
we're having a special
So the question I have here is on the last page of this tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. It's saying that it's adopted this 9th day of February. Well, this is tentative. I'm good. It wasn't tentative till tonight. So, okay.
The last
So-
page, I think, if it's parallels what I have, the last page, the date will be changed to March 16th, when it's approved finally.
Right. So once it's approved and you take the word tentative out of the document, then you're going to change the date to the approval date of the meeting. Yes.
This is just approval to publish it and you get notice.
Right. So you actually have to pass the tentative budget as a board in order for it to go through the review process. So that's why it's dated today, because that's the passage of the tentative, and then you'll pass the final budget after the review period.
Okay, so it'll be filed with the clerk then tonight, correct?
No,
Or
no.
tomorrow?
No.
It doesn't get
Not the county clerk, me clerk.
this gets filed with you.
Correct,
You sign this,
correct,
right? And you keep a copy of this in your file.
correct.
Then in March, at the special meeting, approve the final one, and that gets filed with the county.
So,
Correct.
got it. So we need to publish it. So, and then we need to make it available
Right.
for, and then the publishing needs to state where the meeting's going to be and what time it's going to be and the hours of the, where you can inspect it.
So there's a notice of public hearing here.
Right. So the notice tells people where they can view it and when the meeting to discuss it is and when the meeting to pass it is.
Do we have that now?
Yes.
Where is that? Because that wasn't in. Okay. I'm good because I'm supposed to do this.
Right.
So, and it wasn't in the packet. So that's why. So, okay, very good. Then we will talk. Did you want to publish tomorrow? There's a 2-day lag time at Daily Herald.
Yes.
You can wait until
We could.
closer because the special meeting, I think, is set up for the 16th. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you might want to wait
Well, it has to be there for 30 days.
30 days.
Got it. Okay, good. Good.
Okay, does anyone want to make a motion to approve the township budget?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, trustee Page.
I think I made a motion.
Yeah, we did it
Okay,
already.
just
I made
kidding.
the first motion. We did
Thank
the
you.
second, yes.
Okay, trustee McGovern was,
Yeah.
We just need a roll call.
Trustee McGovern made a motion. Trustee Page seconded.
That was it, yes.
okay.
Got it. Got it.
And then we'll go with any discussion. And then we'll go with the roll call.
Trustee Geist.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Rose.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes.
The only thing that changed in my budget, numbers are all the same, but I changed the front page mirror to the dates of the special meeting,
Oh, okay.
of the 16th.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and I think you have it at 7, or I made mine at 7:50.
Okay.
Okay, that's the only thing that's changed.
Okay.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the Lisle Township Road District budget.
And any discussion?
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
And then we'll go with roll call vote.
Trustee Guys?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Rose?
Yes.
Supervisor Hugh?
Yes.
Thank
Great. And then we'll go with discussion of past and future meetings. In the past, there was apparently a number of different meetings on Columbus Day and in 2015, there was a budget meeting and a levy meeting. In 2016, there was an approval of budget. We just want to make sure that we're doing it all properly. So we're going to definitely take our time with having meetings set and making sure that everything goes through the attorney and through the grant writer and through all you all for some time. Next, with the discussion of OMA, has everybody had the time to get into the OMA portal?
It's not working.
It's not
So
working.
actually, well, we have a winner, which is Assessor Trowbridge. He was the very first to get it done. And then Trustee McGovern was second, and I was a close third. So once you do it, if you can get me your certificates for both the FOIA and to the OMA, it was working.
It's not working now.
Okay, so it goes.
I can try today.
And I did too, but
I didn't try today either.
so I did figure out that if you're using a Chrome portal, it's better than if you don't use Safari, is what I'm trying to say. Safari is not working.
Well, I use a Chrome portal and I couldn't get it to work. So
You need to establish an account and then they validate you and then you use your validation number. And every time you log on, you need a new validation number and then you can proceed.
if the link is still says it's broken, so that can't even get that far.
I mean, I thought I had. Did you have?
I think I caught it when I was working. So
I would go with the.
because I tried a few other times and it did not work.
Is there a way
But it
to
is
send
a
us a
process. Watch out.
Okay.
Yeah. Upper right-hand corner, I think you could register.
And I'll send everybody
Yeah,
around the people that haven't finished it. I'm halfway done. I got in, and I think it helps if you go at an off hour, not at a busy, like Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 hour.
Is that New Year's Eve?
New Year's
That's a really good off hour. Thank you, Assessor Trowbridge. So there's that. I just wanted to bring that up, and also sending around an email with all the trustees on it, and all of us on it is an OMA violation. Okay, update on the food pantry. We have last month served 1,486 people. 195 of them were under the age of 18. It was a very busy month last month. Then we have this month with the counselors. We have, with general assistance. It was another busy month. We had 18 general assistance cases, 16 emergency cases with 2 general assistants. There were 180 telephone calls, so she was hopping busy all month. And then for the counselor.
Wait, okay, so.
There's a second page on that one, but it's all like on the backside, but it's not on the general assistance, but it's all like confidential information. So it's highlighted out, but there's more details. Any questions?
Is this the total amount that people that applied for general assistance, or these are the ones that we were able to serve?
The total amount of people that applied were 18.
Okay.
And there was nobody that was turned away.
Okay.
So, okay. So.
Yes, trustee guys.
Well, I'm just wondering, okay, so have we consistently been reaching 100% of, because this seems very new, that 18 applied, 18 were served, like that's pretty remarkable that
we have changed some of the numbers. One of the things that Naperville Township did was adjust some of the numbers as to how we raised our minimum threshold as to how much somebody has to be making in a month before they can get help. And we raised one of our the amount that we can pay for rent. That was the main thing that people were needing. So we've gone through and done some adjustments on that.
So you mean you lowered the threshold?
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, lowered the threshold and yes.
And raised the amount?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Well, actually raised the threshold. It still is raising. It sounds weird, but you have to
Qualify. It's harder to
Yes.
qualify now.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're trying to adjust to meet the needs. Any other questions? Okay, then about the counseling, Sarah had a busy month, 81 clients.
Okay, just pause you for there really quickly. I'm just curious because I really truly don't know if it's just sort of a historical system that's been in place. But if Sarah is here, is there a reason why we don't have her deliver her report?
Generally because we're just going through the details. So there's not a traditional reason. There's just.
Just curious.
Why? If anybody has questions, Sarah's right here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so it was a very busy month, and I'd say traditionally we do get a bump in January after the holidays. And the severity of the cases seemed higher as well. So, for example, I sent one woman to the hospital, and I'm just dealing with some more severe cases that are taking some more time. The number of general counseling went up, and as well as associated. I don't have what the previous months before me, but the associated support services as well. And then in addition, I've been really promoting our counseling services. So I've talked with the deputy chief over at Lisle PD, and he's invited me to come to the roll call as well once they lift the partial lockdown or whatever because of COVID. And I've invited a Naperville Police Department social worker to come to a visit to the township, and so we can talk more. I've also sent brochures, business cards, a flyer to post for each. And I presented to 36 area agencies about the services that we provide throughout Lisle Township and how we can help their clients as well. So there are several other things on here as well as posting social media.
Well, I attended the panel for the Civil Mental Health Board last week. It was so informative. I had no idea the numbers, the percentages of people who are impacted and how much that has doubled and tripled in some cases from, crisis to attempted suicides, thoughts of suicides and things like that. So,
and I'm trying to set up a Top Saves Lives presentation. I know a couple of different people on the board of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So that is in the works as well, because we certainly have seen a number of people in the news lately, and it's always going on.
Well, I attended the funeral of a young woman in our community last week, so it's just really tragic. So.
Thank you. Yes, we've had a 20% increase in overdoses and
Crazy
suicides.
Yeah, numbers are just
in the last year.
Started.
There's a lot of people dying. Okay, update on the communication plan. The website has really been made some progress. I know this has been a long ongoing goal, but we're getting further with regards to making a calendar that the community can share in the township as well. It's coming up. I would say that I would venture to say by next month it'll be done. And then our Karen, our wonderful, fabulous writer, has made a amazing template that would be that we think is aiming for coming out in March for a newsletter, a digital newsletter. I know that we could potentially have a real life paper newsletter as well. We're going to really try for that. Trustee Rose.
Thank you.
And then we'll go for reports from any elected officials. So we'll start with Highway Commissioner Young.
Not much. We did have to go out and solve the two fires, two house fires. One Trust you and the other one Steve. Hot hours in the middle of the night. They were pouring water on it. Fire in the smoke.
And then Assessor.
No.
No report, thank you very much.
No report for me. We are continuing with tutoring Tuesdays with the township, first and third Tuesdays. The next one is this upcoming Tuesday, February 15th. It is from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Lisle Library main level, and we go into meeting rooms A and B. Please RSVP if you could. Contacting, what's our best contact? If you're hearing here, what would our best contact be to RSVP?
If you were calling here, it'd probably be me at the time.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yes.
Okay.
I'm here every day.
There are social media postings and there is a QR code on the website. But if you're hearing it here and calling, that is acceptable too. A 24-hour notice is appreciated. And we're having more students. And I would say that we're getting some students with, that are improving their grades. Like we've heard back from them. We've gotten some great feedback.
Excellent. Awesome.
Congratulations. Fabulous job. Well done, Trustee McGovern. Thank you. And then Trustee Geist.
I have nothing major to share, but I do have Valentine cards that were donated through the shop for Lisle Township. I'm going to give these to you, Sarah, and I think between you and Charlie, you can decide who could use a little extra hug and a card.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Geist. Wonderful brightening of the day. And then Trustee Rose.
I'm just going to go over the few things that we did this last month since the last meeting. Jean and I met with Ed for clarification on the township budget. We learned a lot about, for the highway budget. We learned a lot about highway and all the different accounts and where things are. So that was very productive. I went to the meeting for the PACE. I zoomed in and listened to the difficulties with getting rides, having people miss rides, trying to like just organize and facilitate. It's a big job, and there was a lot of problem solving going on for that. So I'll be interested to see how that kind of works out for us.
May I ask you a question about that? Was there any discussion about like, was that such a problem pre-COVID, or was it a problem that was exacerbated by COVID? I mean, people are ill, you know, their children get ill, they can't go to work. I mean, there's just this whole domino effect that has come from the pandemic. I'm just curious to know, was there such an issue with services before, or did it really become an issue after?
That is my understanding, that it was before.
Yeah.
And probably, you know, obviously got bad with COVID as well.
And they're one of their other problems is not having enough drivers, but that got worse with COVID. So it's like a combined.
Well, they need to pay their drivers more.
And they need to pay their
drivers.
drivers.
Based on the meeting that we went to, like, what'd you say, $17 an hour? It's like you could make $17 an hour at McDonald's. They need to, you know, negotiate a better contract with their drivers.
So then the last thing is I got a reach out from somebody from the Lisle Library with a customer or a client looking for gloves and things for the homeless. So I thought it would be a good idea if we maybe use some of our pantry monies to just keep some gloves and hats just in stock, just for in case of emergencies for people.
I did mention that there was a need. There was a Girl Scout troop that was looking for a service project, and I did mention that to them.
Great.
But I wanted to make sure I got the exact information so I could give it to them too, just so you know.
Okay, great. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Rose. And then Clerk Polowitz.
Nothing.
Okay, from my end, one of the great things that has happened is we have a new DEI consultant, Taye Sherrod. I'll give her a moment to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet all of you. My name is Taye Sherrod. As Diane mentioned, I do diversity and inclusion work. I've been doing this work ever since '06 when I was an undergrad at the University of Michigan, where I learned diversity and inclusion theoretical frameworks as well as pedagogical ones. So how to apply those theoretical frameworks to actually make substantive impacts for folks. So I'm really looking forward to working with the township towards your goals in terms of making sure that everything is as inclusive and as accessible and as equitable for your residents as possible. I'm starting with Diane with talking about doing an equity audit first, just to kind of see where things are and see where you all are. And then also looking at doing some training for the staff so you all have same knowledge, same base of understanding, and can start to have some of the same language around some of this stuff as we talk about it in more detail. So yeah, it was just a little bit about me. If anyone has questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them for you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Taye. And she's been extremely helpful with crafting our mission statement, working through our human resource book, and working through things that I didn't think about, so that's kind of the goal. We've been very busy in the supervisor's office, making sure that we have policies for giving raises, for hiring people, for onboarding, for making sure that we are doing the most efficient services that we can for our community and providing the best that we can. So it's been a very busy month, and like I said, I'm here every day. So that's my report. Then we go to the audit of expenditures.
I would like to make a motion to move to the audit of expenditures.
Thank you, Trustee McGovern, and thank you, Trustee Geist. Any discussion? Okay, then roll call vote.
Trustee Geist? Yeah. Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Rose?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do you want to, that we move to go to the audit? Do
Right,
you want
Oh,
make
sorry.
a moment to approve it. Yeah.
Sorry, I went
I
too
would like
fast.
to make a motion to go to the audit.
No.
What?
To approve it.
To approve the audit. Oh. And then we vote.
Right,
Okay.
so
I'll second.
second,
We'll get used to it.
sorry, and then we'll
I'll
go.
make us a cheat sheet.
We'll go with a discussion. Okay, then we'll go with a roll call.
Trustee Geist?
Yay.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Rose?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Great, then we can make the motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Great, a roll call vote or any discussion? Hearing none, go with the roll call vote.
Trustee Geist? Yes. Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Rose?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes, we're adjourned. See you all next month.